Peace and blessings, and welcome back to the Buying Time Blueprint podcast. My name is Dr. Chike Akua, and I'm an award-winning educator, author, and international speaker.
And my name is Anthony Boyce. I'm a business automation specialist, author, and I've co-founded a multi-million dollar business.
All right, and here on the Buying Time Blueprint podcast, we're covering the 52 questions that most entrepreneurs ask. And each episode, we're dealing with a different one. But we had to pull in the big guns this time because the question that we're going to be dealing with is so powerful. I said, man, I got to get one of the experts. The question is, how do I build a strong brand identity and value proposition that resonates with customers? So when I was reading through that question, I said, oh, there's only one person that I can call to talk about this. And that is my business partner, Kobe DAWIZ, also known as Kobe Wilkerson. But this brother is amazing at what he does, and he is a wonderful person to tackle this issue. So how you doing today, Kobe?
Hey man, look at you. Always well. Always well.
Yes.
You
So
know.
when Brother Anthony and I were outlining the 52 questions that we're going to be covering on this podcast, and I saw this one, your name jumped into my mind immediately. And Anthony and I were talking about this off camera. And I said, the reason
Mhm.
that I wanted to interview you on this topic is because I had the privilege of having a front row seat
Mhm.
watching you go from Kobe Wilkerson to Kobe DAWIZ.
Mhm.
Before we talk about that transition, first tell us who you are and what you do, and then we'll talk about that transition as it relates to branding, okay?
Okay, my name is Kobe DAWIZ. I'm a master teacher and national educational strategist, and I am a light bearer. So that's what we do. We bear light, and we go and shift and shape and touch people's lives. That's the goal. And so that looks like me doing workshops for kids. It looks like me doing professional development for teachers. That looks like me doing parent workshops for parents and coaching for principals. And so that is what the work, looks like, and also looks like me writing books and creating resources and tools to help people be better. That's the work.
Absolutely. So, award-winning educator, author, storyteller, trainer extraordinaire, right?
Mhm.
Um, well, we've been doing this kind of work for almost 2 decades now, if you can believe it.
Dude, two decades for me.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So,
am currently in Topeka right now, where the journey kicked off and began, believe it or not.
yes, yes. And that's man, you had just finished I think finished your master's degree and then you
Hmm.
jumped out there and decided, you know what? I want to do this consulting thing.
Hmm.
And instead of being locked down to one contract, I want to secure multiple contracts. But in order to do that, you had to create a brand. So tell us,
Yes.
first of all, what made you decide to create this brand and go from Kobe Wilkerson to Kobe DAWIZ? And what does Kobe DAWIZ mean? And, break that down for us and how you built that brand.
So I originally started the work, of course, going by my name, right? L. Kobe Wilkerson the third. Lavelle Kobe Wilkerson the third is the name, and so I was just doing stuff as L. Kobe Wilkerson, and I was doing music and storytelling. I wrote my first book, Fred and Mary, under L. Kobe Wilkerson, and as I started doing this work, I was like, I need to have something that I felt was like a little stronger that was really going to separate me from everybody else.
Mhm.
And so I think the key to it is really knowing who you are and what you bring to the table, right? I think that is when we start talking about branding. I think one of the most important things is recognizing who you are personally as a brand, because you are a brand whether you recognize it or realize it or not, um, and what do you want to represent, and then how do you create something that is going to resonate with people and gets people's attention. And so The Wiz is my favorite movie. Uh, not The Wizard of Oz. We talk about The Wiz, and 72 with Michael Jackson and Diana Ross.
Right.
And if you haven't seen it, it's worth your time. Go ahead and take a look at it.
Absolutely. Classic.
And so I started thinking about the work that I do and the whole really message behind, what the wizard was. And so as I started thinking about it, you had, the scarecrow who was trying to get more brains. And then you had the Tin Man who was trying to get more heart. And then you had the lion who was seeking courage. And then you had Dorothy who was trying to go home. And they were all heading to see the Wiz. And I said, you know what? That's kind of the work that I do with the Wiz. I give people more heart, I give people more brains, and I give people more courage, and then I send them home. You know what I mean? And said, and so we do all of those things. And as the Wiz, what he was doing is he was helping them to recognize that the work and that they were trying to get right, working towards more brains, working towards more courage, working towards more heart, that the work that they were doing and the thing that they were seeking was really already within them.
Mm.
And so I was like, yeah, that's me. So I shifted from Kobe Wilkerson to Kobe the Wiz. And, there had to be a real commitment uh, to that thing. And so I think one of the first commitments is when I, released my next book. It didn't come out as under Kobe Wilkerson. It came out under Kobe the Wiz. And so, the branding, the LinkedIn, um, everything became Kobe the Wiz. And we were on Anthony and I were on had a chance to be on a call together with a bunch of professionals and a bunch of brothers. And the guy was like, so what's your name? He said, I said Kobe the Wiz. He was like, no, not your nickname. What's the name? What do people call you? I said, Kobe the Wiz. That's what I go by.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, no. I mean, what's on your LinkedIn? I said, if you go to LinkedIn and you type in Kobe the Wiz, I'm gonna pop up.
Right.
He's like, oh, so like you really go by Kobe the Wiz? I said, yeah, that's what I was trying to tell you. Yeah. So,
He's like, what's your government name?
Yeah, what's your government name? I said, well, listen, we go by Kobe the Wiz. And
Right.
so that is the piece is all of the branding has to be the same. And you can't pop in and out. When you go up to speed, you can't be like, well, introduce me as Kobe Wilkerson, or they'll send me a thing and they'll say, well, we're sending out this work for yourself or flyer, and they have Kobe Wilkerson, and I just, hey, that is my name, but can you please change that to Kobe the Wiz?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you want all of that branding to be the same, and it works out really well because when you do that, then you get to have what I call a flex moment. When they call and they say, hey, can you send us some pictures for you? And I say, are you sitting in front of your computer? And they're like, yeah. I say, just go to Google, type in Kobe the Wiz, click images. Yeah, you can use any one of those. That all that works. You know what I mean?
Nice.
And so that's the thing is that when you actually commit to it, then you tell the world who you are, and the world must align.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
the way around.
And I want to show people, I want to show the world what you do so they can wrap their mind around what you're talking about. So, Anthony, if you can give me permission to share, I have a brief video clip that I want to show so that people will understand. But I'm also a note taker, and we hope that those that are watching are note takers. And one of the things that you said that I don't want people to gloss over is you said when it relates to branding, you were thinking to yourself, how do I create separation between myself and other people who are in my industry? When you use that term separation, it made me think about great basketball players like Allen Iverson or Kyrie Irving, or of course, Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or LeBron. And once they get that first step on you,
Mhm.
they're at the rim, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with a great wide receiver in the NFL or in
Mhm.
college football. All they need is that one step. They just have to create a little bit of
A
separation.
little separation.
And it's
Mhm.
the same in business. Like that little bit of separation that makes you unique as a person creates that separation where people understand, oh, we're getting a whole different experience when we bring this brother in. Anthony,
Mhm.
did you give me permission?
Yeah, I think you're good to go, Chike.
I'm clicking on share, but it's not. Let me try it now. I should send the
There you
request.
go.
But yeah, I want people to see again so that they can kind of wrap their mind around the work that you do. So I'm going to pull up this brief video clip for people to see because it makes all the difference in the world
Mm.
when you actually have the experience. So let me see here if this is the right one. Just a second.
Take your time, Chike.
I got to make sure the sound is on. All right, there we go.
If you hear my voice, clap once. Hear my voice, clap twice. Hear my voice say. All right, here we go. Ready? Pistols in the air. Ready? Here we go. Repeat after me. Everybody say, I think it, I speak it, I write it, I read it. I understand. You understand. We understand. That's the plan. Say, I think. Get somebody across from me say, hey! Hey! Did you hear that? Yeah! You're gonna get a lot out of this. If you participate. Up the field. High spin. Colon. Semicolon. Ellipsis. Everybody can fill in the first letter. And the first thing we need is a what? Setting. So what letter? S. The next thing we need is what? The C for character.
8 parts of speech. We have 8 parts of speech. 8. Put them on your paper so the people you can reach. 8 parts of speech. We have 8 parts of speech. 8. Put them on your paper so the people you can reach. Now, preposition. Verb and adverb. Take a listen. Adjective. Interjection. Pronoun and conjunctions. Learn your lessons. 1.
Can't do it. I will do it. I give my best. I give my best. I give my best.
So for those that are watching, that's just a little taste of what you do to transform student achievement
And did you see the brand
see the what?
at the end? At the end of that video, the logo,
Right.
right? It had the hands and the stars because, like I said, the goal is bringing what is inside of you out.
Ah, yes. So as you were cultivating this new identity,
Mhm.
and the amazing thing about it is you became a recording artist rather than
Yes.
relying on songs from other people. You say, let me just go ahead and make my own stuff, right?
Wow.
And so as you were in the process of doing that, how did it take hold? What was that process like?
Um, so of course it's challenging, right? Because, we talk about this and, once you say something, the universe is required to test you.
Mm.
Like it's
Right.
it's a recommendation. Like it's required, So if you say you want something, expect the test to come because it's going to see, well, how bad do you really want it? Or what are you really willing to do to make this happen? And so when you start becoming a brand, you have to, like I said, commit to it. I can't say that enough. Mine was really different because, like I said, mine was a total name change, almost like like a Diddy or a Ja Rule or, Andre 3000, you have these people, Prince, who become a first name or they become that. And it's connected to me. So when you initially go through that, you're going to have people who are going to be like, man, that's just Kobe. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? That you get that, you know,
Right.
L. Kobe Wilkerson, you know what I mean? Yeah, well, yeah, your mama named you this, I'm gonna call you this, that part.
Right.
Because so you're gonna have people who are going to test you to see in those spaces, where you're at, because this is the thing that you got to realize. When you decide to go, it doesn't just make it difficult for you, it makes other people uncomfortable.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's been several times when I got up to speak, right? I'm talking large groups of people, and the person who's getting ready to introduce, how should I Kobe Wilkerson the third? No, ma'am, it's Kobe DAWIZ. You see, it's on the hat, so I'll forget it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I tell the kids. I put it on the hat. You know what I mean? So you can't go up here and introduce me as Kobe Wilkerson, and I'm gonna show up and I got on this blazer that says the Wiz on the back, and I got on a hat that says Kobe DAWIZ. Like, no, I am Kobe DAWIZ. And so when you go into your branding, like I said, sometimes your brand is going to make other people uncomfortable. And so not just you. And so if you don't commit to it in a way that you believe in it, and you really understand who it is that you are in this thing, then you're not going to go as far, because then you'll fold. So everything becomes Kobe DAWIZ, right? So the books are Kobe DAWIZ. And now, like, we're getting ready to go into a whole nother challenge, right? Because now I am getting ready to move into this world of academia and writing this article. And my advisor was like, "Are you? How are we going to write this article? Is it going to come out as L. Kobe Wilkerson is, or L. Kobe DAWIZ?" I said, "No, it's L. Kobe DAWIZ. Now we can put Wilkerson at the end, you know what I'm saying?" I said, "But the thing is it's going to be written by L. Kobe DAWIZ. You know what I mean? And then we can put Wilkerson on the end in case but the brand has to be the same, because we want our brand to live in every world I'm in, right? In the early childhood world, in the elementary world, when I'm doing teachers and these books, the 9 components of engaging instruction that I'm getting ready to write, that's getting ready to come out this year, L. Kobe DAWIZ. So in this world, I'm getting ready to go into academia, it needs to be L. Kobe DAWIZ, right? Because you can't be like, you're this, and then you show up over here and you're like, L. Kobe Wilkerson. Like, no, it don't work like that. And like I said, it makes other people uncomfortable too, because there's not really been that in the academic world. Everybody goes by their name because everybody wants their name. And I'm like, well, this is my name, right? Get into these quantum principles, right? Ability to name ourselves by ourselves. So
this is so important, because when you talk about committing to it, you did it in every way, not just with the name, but your physical appearance and how you show up.
Absolutely.
So can you talk about even that shift, how you show up and how you used to show up before becoming L. Kobe DAWIZ, in a suit and everything, but you made a strategic decision to change that, and why? And then we'll talk about what that means for those that are watching this and dealing with online marketing and branding and so forth.
Yeah. So, we're in the wonderful world of education, and we're in consulting. And so, in the world of business, period, it's, you got to look like the business that you're in. So you need to be professional. And so when I started doing this work, I was coming in clean, you know what I mean? Looking like a, bottle of Clorox, just rubbing up against people and disinfecting them. You know what I'm saying? It was, 3-piece suit, with the vest, the tie, the whole thing, you know what I'm saying? Clean kicks, socks to match, we coming in clean. And, then I got because I was doing model teaching in front of kids, and they're like, well, they're just paying attention to you because you look so professional. And I'm like, well, we should look professional. But see, here's the thing. My goal in doing the work that I do and impacting people is to get rid of the excuses for them not to achieve.
Mm.
Right. So I could have been like, shoot, I'm going to be clean because that's what I do. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. When you're trying to serve people something that you want them to eat, you have to make it as appetizing as possible. And as the cook, keeping with the analogy, your job is not to create a barrier for it. Because if you eat meat and you like steak, it doesn't matter how well you season that steak and how well, how great the meat is. But if I serve that steak on a garbage can lid, no matter how clean that garbage can lid is, you're not going to want to eat it.
Mm.
So we got rid of the suit, right? We dealt down, got rid of the vest, got rid of the tie. You know what I mean? And it was like, but you dress so nice. I was like, okay. All right. So they're still stuck on the clothes. So I got rid of the dress shirt. I got rid of the dress pants. I got rid of all of it. So now I come in jeans, a t-shirt, and a blazer, and a hat.
No excuse.
So no excuses. You got to get rid of it, right? You gotta. It was so funny because I'm in Topeka, Kansas, but currently right now, I just kicked off my Do Your Best on Your Test tour, right? So I'm in Kansas City. I'm spending 12 days out here. I came down to Topeka to see the principal who actually was my first principal, got me started. But I was doing a PD yesterday. And it was so funny because I go into classrooms and I do model teaching. And I literally teach what those teachers would be teaching, their curriculum. I get their lesson. I get the pages that the kids are going to be working from. I teach during the time frame that they have. I teach a lesson. They sit back and watch. They normally get us up for the other teachers so that the other grade level teachers come in. So I do all of that, teaching, doing all this. After school, we do the PD. And one of the teachers was like, well, I mean, but you're male and you're excited. You know what I mean? But and then, and then she said this. She said, I mean, what happens when that novelty wears off? And I said, man, what novelty are you speaking of? I need you to be more clear. And she said, well, of just being excited and enthused. And I said, ma'am, that's not a novelty. That's who I am.
Every day.
And I said, well, let me tell you. I said, this is a perfect segue into, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'm going to go into this anyway. So I brought up the 9 characteristics of successful educators. The first characteristic of successful educators is that you're enthusiastic.
Mm.
Right? The second characteristic is that you're dedicated. The third is that you are unique. The fourth is that you are caring. Right? The fifth is that you are assertive. The sixth is that you are a good thinker. The seventh is that you are optimistic. The eighth is that you're reflective, and the ninth is that you're strategic. And if you put the beginning of those letters all in order of those 9, you'll find that it spells out educators.
Man, as you all can see, this brother knows his stuff and can spit it just like that.
Yeah.
And you had me reflecting on, how we show up and how we brand ourselves. Mine was the same way early on, wondering, whether to wear African clothes and really show up as who I am. And what I've come to understand is that people hire me now because that's what they want. And so the thing that we're worried about is really the thing that we need to be leaning into even more. So whether it's your online brand or whether it's your in-person brand, which should really be the same, what I hear Kobie DA WIZ saying is go all the way and make sure that it's associated with excellence, and everything that you do is definitely associated with excellence. Brother Anthony, I don't mean to monopolize the conversation. I'm sure you may have a question or comment in here somewhere. I got
Yeah,
all kinds of questions, but go ahead.
yeah. I'm quietly, you all know me. I'm the loudest person you've ever met. But the thing that particularly strikes me listening to you gentlemen is I'm I've been in business for years, but I'm new to being in front of the camera. And you
Hmm.
all have both personally and individually advocated that I let my voice be heard.
This
And
is part
so
of your
as
initiation.
I'm sorry,
This is part of your initiation.
I know, right? I know that I'm learning at the feet of the masters. But I think, like you said, we all lean into our zone of genius. And what particularly struck me, I actually wrote it down, was commitment to go all in. And so Kobe and I obviously have a phenomenal relationship, personally and professionally. But I think what is most interesting is he is like that. And I'll share an anecdote or a story. So I actually brought Kobe in to speak to some business owners that I was mentoring. Now, they've gone on to 6x their business.
Wow.
So it's even hard now to get these guys on the phone. They're traveling, they're doing amazing things. And I recall they're a young group of entrepreneurs and professionals. They run a marketing agency. And so I bring Kobe on virtually. They're in the islands, he's here, and he gets on, and Kobe's just himself, sharing. I think at that time, um, he was talking about a little bit about branding, but I think about the challenges of early stage entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
And so when, Kobe had to jump off, he gave him a quick 20, 30 minutes, maybe, probably closer to 20, and he jumped off. Their minds blown. They're
Of
just like,
course.
wow. And they're like, is he really like that? Right. And it's funny that Kobe said that because, you know, I told him, I was like, he's really like that. Like, he's not like that on in front of the camera. He's not like that as a show. He's really like that. And I think the challenge is, Kobe, you said, separate yourself, know who you are and know what you're doing. And I think the challenge is often we compromise for those environments,
Hmm.
thinking that will make us more approachable or more acceptable. And I applaud you and Chike, and I think the expression of excellence is different, but the standard is the same,
Mhm.
Absolutely.
right? So the standard to, know what you're getting. We talk about this. What's my gift? How do I deploy it? Who do I deploy it to? How
Hmm.
do I communicate with them effectively? You do all of that. Chike does that in his way, and you do that in your way, but at a standard of excellence that serves well, and you're really like that. So Chike, when he's what Dr. Chike Akua is really, a professor of African studies and about our people and sharing the message and educating and uplifting minds. LKobie DAWIZ is shaping the minds of not just our children, but the people who teach our children and the people who support those that teach our children. And so, from my perspective,
Hmm.
I think one of the to see different representations of excellence at a high level, but with authenticity, for me, I'm still kind of finding, I know what I do it at a high level, I do it well, but I think the representation of that in terms of, even the intro, like my name's Anthony Boyce, I do this, I do that, and being in front of the camera, I think finding your way for me is something that's really resonated when you said, go all in, commit, and tell the world, you said, I am who I say I am.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So they tried to name you one thing,
That's right.
but you said, I define myself as
Hmm.
LKobie DAWIZ, and everything I do is a reinforcement and a reflection of that.
Right.
So that authenticity to me, excuse me, is encouraging. Um, and
Well,
I
the
like
thing,
the way you broke that down.
I think the thing is that you'll find people that'll try to tell you who you are.
Mm, mm,
right? And as I always tell, folks, and the wizism is this. The wizism is what other people think and say about you. It means something,
Wow.
but what you think and say about yourself means everything,
Mm, mm,
right? And so what you have to recognize is don't let their something override your everything.
yeah. I want to ask you, Kobe, what obviously it wasn't, there were challenges, there was a learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
What were the primary challenges in the beginning in making this transition? Was it other people's perception? Was it learning how to express yourself in this way, or was it making the decision in the first place? What was the most challenging aspect?
I think you have to decide,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have to make a decision. You have to decide. Um, they say, suicide, you kill yourself. Homicide, you kill somebody else. When you decide, it is the death of all other options.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So you have to kill all the other options. You got to decide who it is that you're going to be and commit to that in a way that you can be true to yourself.
Absolutely. Mm.
So there is a book I would recommend. Like I said, the work is always in becoming a better version of yourself. If you haven't get it, it's worth it's worth the coins to go ahead but it's the Four Agreements, by Don Miguel Ruiz. And the first agreement is to be impeccable with your word, right? Not to other people, but to yourself.
Hmm.
Right. So what are the promises that you're making to yourself that you're breaking that nobody else knows about?
Oh, wow.
Yep, I like that.
Hmm.
Right. Well, I'm gonna get up at 5:30 every morning, what I mean, and have some quiet time. But you don't do it, right? Nobody knows, just you.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're doing is you're breaking the word to yourself. You're lying to yourself, and as I tell my kids, lying to other people is bad, right? You shouldn't lie. But what you can't do is lie to yourself,
Yep.
because what you do is you underline confidence and you break trust with you. And if you can't trust you and have confidence in you, then other people won't either.
Nope.
And so, in regards to the brand, this is the work that I do. So, I tell people, I don't do this. I be this.
Mm.
Right? We are human beings. So the work I
Mm.
tell is how do you be? What does your being look like?
Mm.
Because, like you said, part of this is who I am. I'm like this at the gym. I'm like this, when I'm presenting. I'm like this when I'm at home. Because what people do is they have different versions of themselves.
Mm.
They have a work self, then they have a home self, then they got a self they are with their boys. You know what I'm saying? Then you got this, self that you have that you show up at church with. You got all these different selves. And what happens is people have that's where they get messed up,
Yep.
right? Because they bring their at home self to work self, and those two selves they conflict. You know what I mean? And so what the work that I do is try to get people to be who they are all the time and to accept who you are all the time,
Mm.
right? So that when you are doing the work that you're doing, you don't have a whole person like, well, man, they outside of school, he wow. You know what I mean? Like, no, like, and so, but that worked in my favor. So let me give when I talked about when I said who you are as a person is a brand, whether you know it or not. So when I first started teaching in Cincinnati, Ohio, right, I was teaching at a Christian school. I was teaching kindergarten at a Christian school. And me and my friends, we were out one night up at UC. They were having a crossing or something, and the police were like, "Okay, you guys got to go across the street." So we go across the street, and all of a sudden, I get grabbed from behind, and he's like, you're being a public spectacle. My friends are like, what's happening right now? Like he literally just turned around and started walking. So long story short, get arrested for doing nothing, get put in jail. Um, you know, end up missing school Monday, end up having to go to court, right? So I go to court. Cause I'm like, I'm showing up for this. You know what I mean? I'm not paying this because this is foolishness. So the officer gets on the stand and says he was cussing, he was yelling at us, so he called us all types of MFers and names, and that's why, we grabbed him. And I leaned over to my attorney. I said, I just got off. He said, what happened? I said, we just got off. And then they were like, okay, would you like to cross that center? And then the lawyer was like, my client asked permission to speak to you, Judge. And so they gave me permission to speak. I said, Judge, he said I was cussing at him and calling him, all types of names and just being totally deliberate and disrespectful. And she's like, yes. I said, ma'am, I said, I said, I'm a teacher. I said, but not only am I a teacher, I said, I'm a kindergarten teacher at a Christian school. And at that time, they had the Frank McCovey books, and I kept my book. And I said, ma'am, I would like to offer you this book with my dad. I said, I just want you to flip through. I just want you to pick a name or two names and just ask anybody, just say what he said, I said, and just see what they say to you.
Mm.
And she was like, okay. So she took the book. She goes back in her office, comes back 5 minutes later. She said, Mr. Wilkerson, on behalf of the city of Cincinnati, I apologize for his behavior.
Wow.
Because the 4 people I talked to told me that you don't cuss, told me that you don't drink, and told me you're one of the most respectful people they know. And then she turned to the police officer and said, I am tired of this.
Wow.
So white lady, I am tired of you harassing these people, these who are not doing anything to anybody, and you all keep bringing them in my court. Next time you show up with, I will have your badge. And then turn back again, Mr. Wilkerson, on behalf of the city of Cincinnati. I apologize. So
I have never heard that story before.
Wow. So
a couple of things come to mind in terms of brand identity. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches.
Right.
So much in that. That is a powerful story, man. Good gracious. So much more. We might have to do a part 2 with you, man. We're already over time, but I wanna make sure that we go over the notes that I was jotting down that you shared.
Like, I've got a couple too.
Man, there's so many. So I want to start from the top. You talked about creating separation with your brand. What separates you from other people who are dealing with the same types of topics that you deal with? Knowing who you are. And once you say something, the universe is going to test you. So you have to don't shy away from it, lean into it, commit to it fully, decide who you are, because when people purchase something from you, they're not purchasing a product or service, they're buying you. So you got to commit to who you are and decide. Be impeccable with your word, the first of the 4 agreements, and don't just do this, be this.
Be this. Yeah.
Brother, this was just powerful, man. Any closing thoughts that you want to leave with us as we wrap things up?
Go ahead, Anthony. I know you had a few things.
Oh no. Chike pretty much covered everything. I think who you the part that particularly struck me is who you are when no one's watching. Are you showing up for you? And what does your character say about you? The fact that the value that you give to others was built within yourself first.
Got to be.
And that's what particularly struck me. Yeah. But Chike did a phenomenal job of summarizing that. Yeah.
Yeah. But Kobe the Wiz, do you have a closing word for our budding entrepreneurs who are watching this?
I do. So I always end my presentations with this quote.
Uh-oh, I know where this is going. Whew.
And it is this. Without continuous self-development, you are right now all that you will ever become. The real hell begins when you meet the you that you could have been.
Ooh. Say that again.
Without continuous self-development, you are right now all that you will ever become. Because the real hell begins when you meet the you that you could have been.
It's a wrap.
Read
it. Yeah.
It is a wrap. This has been the Buying Time Blueprint podcast. My name is Dr. Chike Akua, award-winning educator, author, and international speaker.
Yeah. And my name is Anthony Boyce, business automation specialist, author, and co-founder of a multi-million-dollar business.
And our wonderful special guest, Kobie DAWIZ, master teacher, storyteller, and leadership strategist and entrepreneur extraordinaire. Thank you so much for being with us today, brother. This has been a wealth of information that you share with us. We will see you next time on the Buying Time Blueprint podcast. If you like what you heard, share it with somebody, hit like, and circulate it as much as you can. Until next time, we'll see you soon.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.